All right, we got this pocket door for the bathroom, and the first part is fine. So there's a little carriage up here that rides on these rails. This one's fine. The second one, I think the adjustment screw got loose. So I try to push it back. It doesn't go smoothly. So we need to get up in there and adjust the screw for the second carriage, make sure it's engaging properly. So unfortunately, with these kind of pocket doors, you can't do it without taking this casing off. So that's going to be our first task, is to take the casing off. So to do that, we're going to use our utility knife. This has probably got some caulking in it. Utility knife, and go all along here and up here and along the top. Get rid of some of this dust up here too. And so we can take this section of the casing off, and then we can see what's going on up there. Hopefully that'll be enough to access the screw. We can tighten it back up. It'll be back in business. So let's see how hard that is. All right, so we have our utility knife. So we're going to go on the top here. Sure, there's no connection between the casing and the wall board. We don't want to damage the wall board. Yeah. On the top here, make sure it's not connected. I'm going to go on the seam. They probably put some caulking in the seam. Carefully trace the seam. I can feel some caulking there. It's rubbery. I'm going to go underneath here. Do the same thing. Yeah, I can definitely sense some caulking. Okay, so we're going to do this. Go about the middle. Start on the other side, go the other way. Meet in the middle. I'm doing this on the inside of the door because it's probably not going to be a perfect job since I'm not an expert. So it'll be less noticeable if I do it on this side. I leave some little marks or whatever. So we'll paint it when we're done. That'll cover it up. We can put some caulking in there too. So. All right, so now we're going to take our little pry bar and try to pry this off. Now we don't want to damage the wallboard, so I'm going to get a little piece of wood to put behind the pry bar, so it'll spread out the force, and then we won't damage the wallboard. Because this, I can repair a wallboard. It's not that hard, but I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. So, all right, so I got a piece of 1/4 inch plywood, so we can use that to protect the wallboard as we pry. And we're going to use this little hammer. There should be a nail in here somewhere. Can't see it because they put some spackling over it and painted it. So. See if we can get this in. We'll try to get it in first, then we'll put the plywood on. Let's see if we can get some. It's moving a little bit. There it goes. Okay, so this top part is coming away. So by scoring it with the knife, we let it come loose, so it wouldn't pull this board out. So also we don't want to break this casing either. I mean, we can get some more and replace it, but if we can reuse it, it's gonna make our life a lot easier. So this is really coming out easy now. Just go along. So there's a nail right here. Little teeny brad nail, almost like a staple. Okay, so this is coming off pretty nicely. Easier than I thought it was going to come off. It looks like got it all the way off without too much work. Get this side off. There. All right, so this is a really fine. Some kind of a staple almost. Must have been used. Must have had a air powered brad nailer or something. I can put these little thingies in. So, all right, so we exposed this now. I have to pull out these little remains. Some of these broke off, so I have to pull those back out. Expose this, and we still can't see what's in there. So we're going to have to. Looks like we're going to have to take. Well, we have to take a little bit of this wallboard out to see what's in there, it looks like to me. So, all right. All right, well, this didn't help us, so we got to patch this. Good. That's interesting to know. So it looks like I'm going to take this piece of, there's 2 pieces of wood here. I think there's 2 pieces, yeah. I'm going to take this piece of wood out that's in this area. And then we can do, so maybe we have to take this casing out. Well, maybe not. Maybe not have to take this casing out. Maybe I'll be able to pry this out without taking this off. I have to try that, so. Work on that a little bit, and I'll come back and see how I did. All right, some investigation. We're going to take this piece of the casing out, which should be okay. And then there's probably nails up through this way. We have to pry those out. Then we can take this piece of wood out. So get this casing out. So it's the same procedure we used before. I'm going to use the utility knife. Cut these seams. I can definitely see caulking in there. Yeah, I think that's going to come out unless. So this side looks like it's not resting on the. This side of this casing under here is resting on this casing, but this side isn't. So it must have been pushed up in there. So we need to get this side off, then we can lever it down hopefully. All right, so I use this little mini pry bar. I go this way. Yeah, so it's starting to come out. Let's work our way along. Yeah, we don't want to damage this. We can get another piece, obviously, but the less we have to redo, the better. This is also held in by those little thin brads, so it comes off pretty easily. It sounded like it was cracking, so I gotta be careful here. Try to support the whole thing when you're prying it. This side's just about off. There. And if we get this side out cleanly, yeah. That was just resting up in there. Let's work it out. Yeah. All right, so we got this piece off. Save that. Like a puzzle. Now I'm going to get this piece of wood out. So this piece of wood there's some, before they installed the casing, they came by and put the wallboard in, and then they used this tape, this wallboard tape. So this piece of wood should come out similarly to the other one. There's just wallboard above it, so what it's attached to. Oh, there's a piece of wood on the inside of the. Okay, here we need to get it from this inside there. Let's try it from over here. Hammer that though. So if we get far enough in, here, we can get in. From the other side now. There we go. whole thing is coming out. That's not good, probably. I'm going to separate those two things. Well, the piece of wood that it's connected to is coming out as well. That's not really helpful. Alright, so I got this hacksaw blade, and you should go in here and cut those threads. Get it going here. Alright, it's starting to come off now. Getting weaker. Friction is holding is getting weaker. Keep trying this. Soon it'll be out. Fortunately, we can sort of get at it now. Yeah, I think with this off, yeah, we can see the bottom of the rail. So now I think with this off, we can actually access that screw, maybe with a bent wrench or something. So we'll see what we can do with it once we get it over here. That's good. There's probably one right at the end. Yeah, we can get that off now. All right, so we got this piece of wood off. Now I'm going to bring the camera over. You can see what we're dealing with over here. All right, so now that I have this piece of wood off, you can see there's the carriage that's working. There's some adjustment screws here, adjustment nuts rather. And then here's the carriage that was buried in the wall that's not working. And it looks like there's a nut up in the carriage up there. This has got to engage the screw, and we need to pull this part of the door back up. So it's the weight is resting on the wheels instead of just on the ground, which is why it's dragging. Unfortunately, it looks like the way this bracket on the bottom here is set up, the adjustment is on the other side. But hopefully we can figure out how to do it from this side. Otherwise, we'll have to pick up the same wood we did, same pieces of wood on the other side that we did on this side, which would be a pain. So at least we would know it's no use cutting into the wall. So we got that going for us. Yeah. All right, so let me see if I can figure out how to adjust this without, from this side. If I can, and I'll show you how I did it. So now you can see what we're dealing with here. So I'm getting here with those pliers. So we need to turn this nut. This is the lock nut, so we don't want to turn that necessarily. The bolt that goes through, we can turn that with those pliers and suck it back up. At the bottom, ideally we can put a wrench in here, but this side is narrow. You have to adjust it from the other side. We don't want to take the casing off on the other side if we can avoid it. So by grabbing onto the bolt itself gently, and turning into those pliers, we can hopefully pull it back up inside. So meanwhile, down at the bottom, we've got a pry bar with some weight on it, pushing the door up, which is what we wanted to. So then we can engage the screw into the bolt rather into the carriage up above. So that's just holding it up off the ground, which is what we want once we get done. So it's hard for me to show you how I'm doing this, but basically I'm going to be giving those pliers and turning it righty-tighty from looking from the bottom, and that should pull this bolt up into the carriage, hopefully. And then once it's up in there, then we'll tighten the lock nut so it won't come out again. All right, so now to get it to work, I had to actually get rid of the pry bar at the bottom. Then there's plenty of room to grab that bolt and screw it up, and it's being sucked up. You can see the bottom of the nut of the bolt there is up flush against the bracket now, like this side, you see. That's why it's flickering. There. So you can see this side, the bolt is up flush against the bracket that's screwed into the top of the door. And this side is flush now. So we can use the needle nose pliers. I'll use this flashlight. Grab this threads in the nut of the bolt up here, then we can turn it. Very tiny. You can see, maybe. bolt on the bottom that's turning. That means that we're going up into the carriage up on top. So I'll just keep doing that until I get it up high enough so it'll start rolling properly. Then I'll show you the result. Alright, so I did this in stages. So I screwed it up as much as I could without anything under the door. And then I couldn't turn it anymore. It's too much friction. So then I put the pry bar without any weight on it. That allowed me to screw this bolt in a little bit more grabbing the threads. Now I'm going to put the weight on it. That'll move it up a little bit more, and we should be able to finish it off. All right, so we screwed this bolt up into the carriage with the wheels on it that rides on these rails far enough, and now we need to tighten this lock nut that's on top here. So we don't want the bolt on the bottom turning, so we're going to put our screwdriver in there to brace it. We're going to take our 7/16 inch wrench, put it on the nut, and tighten it from right to left. There. And while we're at it, we'll do the other side. We don't want this one coming out. So this lock nut was a little bit loose too, just from use. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. There. So now those lock nuts holding this bolt so it doesn't turn anymore. So let's, I already removed the pry bar at the bottom, so it should roll smoothly now. Let's see. All right, smooth as silk. We did it. So the only mess up was we got into this wall up here, which didn't really help us. So that's a clue for you. Just take the casing off, including this interior casing, and then you can access these bolts. Now it's kind of a crapshoot, I guess, which side is the access side. Probably, yeah. So if it goes into the wall this way, you want to be on the other side. Yeah. If the door was coming from the left here, then these would probably be on this side, is my guess. But I think it's kind of arbitrary. Although, because I think they installed these little poles, this little lock and so forth after the fact. So they chiseled this out and put this in. So I think it. So yeah, so the side, yeah. Anyway, hopefully you'll pick the right side. Let's just put it that way. All right, this job is done, and on to the next job.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.